the first time that I realized I didn't want to be doing what I was doing. And I was sleeping under a bridge in Tacoma in Washington. And I had literal rats running over my sleeping bag. And I thought, I don't want to wake up when I'm 50 years old and have to go panhandle up a half pint of Taka. If I had known before what I know now, I would have been dreaming way bigger, way longer ago because I've been able to manifest some magic in my life.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Beauty in You podcast. I'm so excited for our guest today. I cannot wait for her to share her background in her rediscovery journey into what she's doing now, which is absolutely amazing. She's overcame years of living on the streets and hopping trains. She rose above trauma to build a six-figure massage practice, working just 3 days a week in her thriving business. Now she helps healers grow their businesses in alignment with their values and spirituality. Welcome to the Beauty in You podcast, Julia Jet. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me, Chiquita.
Thank you so much for being here and thank you for trusting me with your journey.
I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you.
So part of the Beauty in You is talking about your past and how you've learned from those past experiences that kind of led you to the great thing that you're doing today. So can you walk me through a little bit of your rediscovery journey?
Yeah, I mean, the past I had was so much built into this idea that I wasn't good enough, and a lot of fear of the people that of not fitting in, really, of not fitting in. And so much of that goes into this discovery of self and learning how to love who we are inside and outside. That the inside blossoms into the outside.
It does.
Yeah. And so being on the street, I had this mindset that was really based in a whole lot of fear of, not being accepted by normal society. And instead of deciding to overcome that at first, I just rejected normal society completely.
Mhm.
And that looked like, I mean, for one, living on the street and panhandling and these things I had normalized by the time I was a teenager because I didn't feel like I fit in where I was. And I mean, where I was like Catholic school. It's not like I came from this hardcore background, but I didn't feel like I fit in there. I felt like I fit in living outside. And so I normalized panhandling. I normalized waking up in the park. I normalized being drunk at 10 a.m. All of those things became completely normal to me. And after a while, that became the box that I lived in. That became everything that I knew because I'd rejected everything else available outside of that. I didn't even see it anymore. And that can happen so much now and for anyone. We can't see behind our own limitations. That's why it can be so helpful to have guidance along the way.
Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that part of your journey.
Yeah, I think one of the big things I had to overcome was the shame in that it's not as though I came from like immense poverty. Like that mindset of unworthiness and fear that can happen to anybody. I mean, and alcoholism and addiction, that is available for anyone. And I want to spare everyone from that who's listening. Like you're spared. And it's also important to remember that that can happen to anyone, regardless of where we come from.
I think that's important that you share that. Like, listen, it can happen to anyone. It doesn't have to, you don't have to come from poverty. It can definitely happen to anyone. And it's normalizing that life. I say life be life in, but life, it does. It's about our experiences and kind of what we go through and what we do with that. But yes, anything can happen to anyone. And just from my own personal healing experience and healing journey, when things went left for me and I entered a place of deep depression, and then the anxiety and the attacks came, I didn't think that's not going to happen to me. What? Like, what are you talking about? Depression? And I fought it a lot. My mental health, which is so important to me anyways. But then I kind of like, it's me. Like, no, this doesn't happen to me. Like, it's not supposed to happen to me. It can happen to other people, but not me. And I really struggled with that. And that delayed me getting help. It delayed me getting therapy because I was in such this denial that no, not me. Like, what?
Yeah, there can be that stigma around getting help. because I mean, so much in society now, it's you see these people like lifted up. I did it all myself. I pulled myself up by the bootstraps. It was all me. And I honestly, we get help. Strong people get help. And that's how I got to where I want to be. I asked for help over and over again. I mean, whether it's in my recovery journey or in just getting off the streets, I mean, like I couldn't stop my alcoholism living with my family because I would get triggered and I'd end up right back where I was. And I'd convinced myself that I was really good at being homeless. And so I was comfortable. I would just go do it again. But
Mhm.
I got a boyfriend who got me off the street, taught me how to surf. And so I feel as though all of these different parts of my journey, it was as though like something saved me from myself over and over again. Like I was massively depressed when I was 13. And then I met these people in the park and they lived in the park, but I got confidence. I found happiness. I started being able to feel like I could express myself around people. And then I needed to get saving from that because I'd normalized alcoholism and I'd normalized homelessness. And then so I got saved from that. And then, I had to expand from that. And then I had to expand from that. And the more we move through life, we get to learn what all's possible for us. It doesn't have to be that small box that we might start with. We get to expand and expand. And in that time that we grow, we're showing others what's possible for them.
Yeah, that box is like, I say societal box for for myself. I speak from my perspective. It's like society has placed these roles, or for me, restrictions of what we should be like, what beauty looks like, what all the things, and you find yourself in this box. And I found myself in this box, and that box was like not healthy at all. I was stressed and not confident and really sad and didn't love who I was. And I wasn't worthy of anything. Like, what is that? What? I struggled with all the things, but at the same time, I felt like, well, this is what society says. So even though my heart and the little voice in my head may have been telling me like, Chiquita, you should be doing this. This is what you love to do. This is what your passions are. This is where you should really go and follow. I was like, no, because society says that I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And I have to stay in that box. And even though I don't feel happy in that, this is where society says I should be, until I just got to the point to where I couldn't. I hit rock bottom. Okay. And there was nowhere else to go but up.
Yeah, you got to tip up that top of the box and see what else is going on.
It's scary. It's scary. It is scary. But I'm thankful, even though it was a hard journey. I'm thankful for the journey. I'm thankful for the people I met along the way. I'm thankful for the lessons that I've learned, because I wouldn't be here today talking about it had I not gone through it. So it's kind of like one of those things where I'm always like, did it have to be so hard? But then the other side is like, well, yeah, Quita, it kind of had to, because you wasn't getting it. I had to keep pushing.
Yeah.
I do struggle with that sometimes, even still, like, did it have to be so hard?
Oh, yeah, totally. I remember the first time that I realized I didn't want to be doing what I was doing, and I was sleeping under a bridge in Tacoma in Washington. And I had literal rats running over my sleeping bag. And I thought, I don't want to wake up when I'm 50 years old. I was 23. I don't want to wake up when I'm 50 years old and have to go panhandle up a half pint of Taka. But I don't know how to change this. I didn't change that until I was 30 years old. I just kept like life got different. I started living inside more, but I didn't change my alcoholism until I was 30. I mean, until we, tip up that top of the box, because I mean, that was my rock bottom, and I didn't see a way outside of that box. I just couldn't see it. But, the more and more I started meeting people, and, my higher power has a flow, that everything I've been through has led to compassion that I get to have for other people now, because I know for sure that if I had known before what I know now, I would have been dreaming way bigger, way longer ago, because I've been able to manifest some magic in my life. And if I had known that that magic was available for me, I would have been going after it. I mean, I had no idea that I was a high achiever. I can see it now in my past. I mean, train hopping used to annoy me because I had a goal. I wanted to get somewhere and I wanted to get there at a certain time. And, like I had to deal with waiting for somebody else's train all the time. Everything else was on somebody else's terms. And I didn't see out of that box yet.
Your mindset is like crazy. And I think it definitely played a part in your journey, like just being determined, because it was all, even living on the street and doing what you were doing, your mindset still shows determination. Like, even though it may not be the best situations, just that determination still there, that mindset part. But what would you say to someone who can't lift the box? We lifted the box. We are like, okay, what we doing? But what would you say to someone that just doesn't have the strength to lift that box?
I think that lifting comes when we're ready, when we're ready to see outside of that box and let some light in, then we do. Like I said, I was 23 when I first realized I didn't like what I was doing, but it took me a while to be ready to actually lift that box, be like, oh, it's bright out here. I've been living in this darkness, and it turns out that it's really bright. And there's so much, we can feel all of this resistance too, because we feel safe in that resistance. Our minds are made, and they've done such a good job of survival. Like, we have the exact same brains that our survivalist ancestors used to keep themselves alive through winters in the cold, through dealing with real scary predators, and actually living outside and having to live with the cycles of nature. We still have those same brains, but we're living in this really fast society where we don't have the same kinds of worries. But looking outside of where somebody might be can feel like a lot of resistance there. I know I felt a lot of resistance for a long time because I was really tied up into this identity of who I am. Like, am I still going to be who I am if I choose to make these changes in my life? And I mean, the answer is hell yes. In fact, I'm like I am a brighter version of who I've always been. And the more I discover, the more I get to be who I'm meant to be, and the more people I get to help. But coming from that place where there's that resistance, where my unconscious mind just wanted to keep me safe, because what I was doing, even though it wasn't great, it didn't look great on the outside, it didn't feel great on the inside, it kept me safe. It kept me alive, and it kept me safe for a long time. And so stepping outside of that box is, that can be the scariest part, because that box has kept us safe. But sometimes it's okay to just lift that lid a little bit and just check out what else is going on.
Push through it. Just look a little bit and just push through the scary, that fearful part. Because I do believe when we feel that, it's that growth that's going to happen. But it's the fear of the unknown. Like, what's going to happen? How am I going to do this? How am I going to get through this? Oh my God. No, I'm going to push it back down. Okay. No, I really want to get it. It's like, you're like going back and forth. Like, I really want it. I don't want it. I really want it. But I say,
it's like the fish by Nemo.
But definitely push through that. And it can be tough. It can be tough, but our journeys are our journeys. So after you've gone through all of that, how did you end up with this successful business? Like, connect the dot for me. What happened?
Totally. I got off the street, and I stopped drinking. I got into recovery. I created community. And the first business I created, I did that in San Francisco, and it never hit six figures. I was working at a chiropractor's office while I was renting from him. And I realized that I'd found myself in a little box, and I'd hit the ceiling of what I could do in that space. And then COVID happened, and I shut down and just ended up having to go with the flow. 2020 was a wonderful year for me. The government paid me to go surf and hang out by the river. And I just went ahead and had a fabulous year, other than the uncertainty, I had a good time. And I ended up in a new, beautiful place and took out a government loan and created a new business, and I had guidance. I called up the same coach that I'd built my first business with, because I was freaking out. I'm like, I'm not from here. Nobody's going to like me because I'm not from here, and I'm not going to be able to fill my schedule. All of these beliefs that, that we have. But at that point, I could spot them. I could see that I had limiting beliefs, and I could see that I needed help. And so I got help. When I started out, it was about getting past those mindset blocks, that like the money beliefs that I had when I first started my first business, that was so gnarly, like I remember just crying, like I've never made over $25,000 in a year. Like making money's hard. And what I realized is I actually ended up crossing over a lot of things that I learned while I was homeless. You know what? I could sit on the street and people gave me money. Making money isn't hard. Making money is easy. When I started cross-referencing what I've been through, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to go out and meet people. Like going and networking. How terrifying. I used to go sit on the street and panhandle, like if I can panhandle, I can go out and I can make referral partners. And actually, now I have a really good time doing it. I was at a networking meeting last night and I was like, you know what? I'm bored. And I just started going in a circle around the whole like Chamber of Commerce meeting. Hi, I'm Julia. Hi, I'm Julia.
That's
Like,
so
how's
cool.
everything going? It was just, there's just fun, and like nobody there was like, you know, it was nobody I was really trying to work with, but these are all people who come to a networking event to network, and that's one of the coolest things, just coming from that history I have, the opportunity to be in contact with people that own businesses. And this was at a bank last night. This was at a bank. So there's all these people in banking and, like coming from this mindset of like this money fear and everything, and now being able to experience life with people who like work with money, and money's just part of like the normal, and growing into that it becomes really fun. I think that's really a big mindset that I had to shift, was make it fun, make it simple and make it fun. Like, what can I do to make this easy? And what mindset do I want to approach this with? Because I mean, I could go into looking for referral partners with, oh goodness, nobody likes me, nobody wants to talk to me, or I can have a mindset of, I am so excited to share what I'm doing with people. This is going to be a great opportunity for them because it's going to help their clients. And yeah, I mean, really stepping out of that what about me perspective and looking instead, what about this other person? What about other, how is what I'm doing going to affect them in a positive way, and bringing that instead. And then of course, pricing in a way that I could thrive, because for a long time I priced bare minimum, what's going to get me by,
Yep.
that survival mindset. And the thing is there's always going to be somebody out there who's telling you you're too expensive. So, charge what you need to actually thrive, because that's where I was really able to step in so I could show up 100% for all of my clients.
Yeah, I struggled with that too, like the pricing side of it, because I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna think like this is too much. Like, if no one's gonna want to work with me, or no one's gonna, they're gonna, I struggled with the money
Yeah.
part, but then I flipped the mindset part of that, because mindset plays a big key in all of this.
Yeah.
Was that, well, when I'm looking for a coach and I'm ready to buy, I'm ready. Like,
Yeah.
well, how much is it? Okay, fine. This is what I need you to do. You gonna do that?
Yeah.
Okay. How much? Okay, whatever. Okay. Swipe, right?
Yeah.
So I had to make sure that from a coaching point that I was like, this is what I can, this is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And this is what I'm charging, even though it was scary to do that. But I struggled with the money piece. I really did, because I'm like, mindset is important.
It is.
A lot of what you're saying, it's just so important. And I think that no matter what journey we're on, whether it's a rediscovery or healing journey or empowerment journey, I think it all goes back to the mindset and what you feed your mind each and every day and what you say to yourself each and every day. I believe that if you are feeding yourself positivity and you're walking into that meeting and you're really feeling it, then you're going to perform that way. But if you walk in with your head down and you're kind of shy, you're going to perform that way. And so we have to learn to, yes, recognize our limiting beliefs and trust ourselves and feed positivity into ourselves, because the action, I believe, follows behind that
Yeah.
level of positivity.
Yeah. And I mean, that self-trust is just something we build the more we do it. It starts with that first act of courage and going out and choosing what's the mindset that I want to have, and then acting with that mindset. And after a while, I built self-trust after a while. People want to create a network. I wasn't the only person looking to create a network. There's plenty of people you know?
Yeah, that most of the time what we're feeling, that like, oh, I'm so scared, I'm so nervous. Like there's other people that are feeling it too. Like they're
Sure.
feeling the same thing that you're ultimately feeling. So just keep that in mind. Like, I feel this way, but I'm sure there's like three other people in this room, even more, that feel the exact same way I do. So let's just go connect. Let's just go talk. Let's just go make this happen. And it's not pitching yourself all the time. It's literally, I think, so important to just build the relationships. Like I love building relationships and just talking to people like, oh, what do you do? Okay, that is awesome. Like I love it. But in saying that, I am an introvert. I'm drained. I can do it. I can put myself in a room. I will network. I will talk. And at the end, I'm going to sleep.
Totally. Exactly. Yeah. I was in bed by 8:30 last night.
It takes a lot. So get out there and do it, guys. Get out there and do it. Uncomfortable equals grow. And then just go to sleep after. It's okay.
Totally. Yeah, I'm a total introvert too. And it's just like, just that being able to recognize that I'm just going to need to rest
Mhm.
a little bit. Like, this is work I need to do. And then I'm going to take care of myself.
Yeah.
When I've heard that there's people out there who will just hang around other people all the time, good for them. That sounds like a lot, but it's cool.
Be able to recognize yourself. Let's talk about that, like self-awareness part. Like know yourself, know you are what you're doing, your self-awareness level, like just know, like your energy level, how you long you can be around people, all the things, like know
Yeah.
yourself. Because I'm really clear on that. I had to do the work first, but I'm really clear, like, y'all got about this it. I gotta go. I'm going to sleep. They don't know that. But this is
Also to like know that about ourselves and not, come from a place of judgment with it either. You and I can laugh about this, but I know there was definitely a time when I was first starting out. It was like, this is draining. And nobody had told me that that was normal, and that it's okay. And that this is, give yourself rest. We're allowed to show ourselves the self-care that we need once we start recognizing how putting ourselves in these courageous situations makes us feel, like I'm totally pumped when I know that I'm overcoming fear and that I'm doing something that scares me and I'm doing it anyway and it's totally courageous and I get totally amped on that. And then afterwards I know that, I get home and I'm like, well, I'm going to need a little bit of a lay down, and that's totally okay. I will treat myself.
normalize, be human. Entrepreneurship is not easy, first of all. It's really
Yeah.
hard. If you pay attention to only certain social medias, it's like I've made 10K in 1 month and you can do it too. Like, oh, they did that. No, guys. There's a whole like cycle
Yeah.
behind that. I think we need to talk about the other side of it. It's really hard. It's difficult. We're putting ourselves in scary situations, but the point is that we're doing it. I think it's important to know that we're doing it. We're doing it scared. We're learning who we are. We're pushing the envelope. And if you ultimately want to get to where you're going, for me, I feel like I have to be uncomfortable. Like if I'm uncomfortable, not in a dangerous uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but like uncomfortable, like, oh, I'm really scared, then I'm good. Then I'm good. Long as it's not doing anything that's going against values and morals and things of that nature, I'm good. So there's growth in being uncomfortable. There's growth in knowing that this journey it's hard. Recognize that. Learn the lesson. There's no failure for me. There's no failure. I'm just going to be like, that didn't quite work out. Okay, what's the lesson in that?
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, let's try this again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You have been amazing. And thank you so much for sharing your journey with the audience today. Can you let them know where they can actually find you and connect with you?
Oh, for sure. The audience, hey everybody, you can find me at XO Julia Jet on Instagram and Facebook. My website's juliajet.com. And if you would like a freebie, you can get a spiritually aligned guide to pricing at juliajet.com/pricing. And that will help you price in alignment with your values and spirituality and maybe help you move some of those money blocks you might be experiencing so you can have that thriving business.
Yes. I'll make sure to link all the things in the show notes. That way you can just click and grab that. You guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that bell and leave a comment, subscribe. And if you are listening to wherever you stream your podcast, make sure you drop that review. All right, you guys, until next time.